Penny Myers here. I am so excited to bring you some information that confirms, backs up everything I've been doing and everything I've been trying to say to people. Lived experience is expertise. That is so well said. Dr. Ken Duckworth, he's a psychiatrist. He's a chief medical officer of the National Alliance in Mental Illness. He's also an author of You Are Not Alone, the National Alliance Mental Illness Guide to Navigating Mental Health. Thank you, Ken Duckworth. He has this amazing article on LinkedIn, and he talks about all his expertise about why are we not talking with those who have lived experience. He says he's written this article, he's written this book, and he honors those people that have lived experience. And what he says in the article is this is done with advice from experts and wisdom from real people and families. September 2022. Like, I am so in awe. Like, it boosts my self-confidence, but boy, does my heart feel full. Dr. Ken Duckworth goes on to say, it's time to honor experts in their own right. If you have dealt with mental illness as an individual or a family member, share your experience in places that feel safe, because you never know who's listening and who it might help. In my case, I feel honored and an expert in my own right. I have dealt with much in regards to survivors of suicide loss. In an individual family, a family member, friends, people that were strangers that I never knew, but knew of me by researching and have contacted me. I have shared my experiences, and I continue to share my experiences in places that feel safe, because I just never knew who would be listening. But what I did know was everyone needed the help. I knew how difficult it was to find information. I want to read a little bit more just to show you why I feel so in awe for what he has said. Dr. Ken Duckworth began his article with, for years, society has discounted the idea that individuals with lived mental health experiences are experts. He believes that's wrong. People who have lived with something for years and have deep expert level knowledge of their condition, lived experience is expertise. And you know, for years and still today, I and many others, society, health professionals, mental health professionals, God help us, government officials, have discounted that I have anything good to say, anything. Survivors of suicide loss tell their story. The connection between human beings is unfathomable. It's heartfelt. It is lived experience. is expertise. I can't say that enough. So, survivors of suicide loss, I know there's so much negativity to the loss and the grief and the suffering of losing a loved one, but it doesn't have to stop there. You have something to say, you have something to share. Dr. Ken Duckworth goes on to say, if you've lived with bipolar disorder for 20 years, in our case, 15 years since my son died by suicide, you're intimately familiar with what works for you. And because so many have shared what works for them and what worked for me, and so much is similar, that is why there is this huge bond, connection between one another in the community of survivors of suicide loss. Also, it is huge, important information to share with those that want to know how to help a survivor of suicide loss, how to help them with their pain and their grief. He also goes on to say, no one sets out hoping to become an expert on the experience of mental illness. They are thrust into it. Survivors of suicide loss, you can bet your butt I did not wake up one morning and say, I want to be an expert on surviving the loss of a loved one to suicide. I want to be able to be educated and knowledgeable. And the best way to do that is through lived experience. No, I can tell you right now, if I had a choice, I would say, no, thank you. This is not for me. But I was thrust into it like all the other survivors of suicide loss. Taking our expertise and sharing their unique individual experiences with others in conversation, through advocacy, and via peer education, or any other route that can provide hope, solidarity, and the important feeling of being seen and heard. God bless all the work I do, my videos I do, for me, for you. Yes. As our country, United States, Canada, World Health Organizations strive to build a stronger mental health system, one that's accessible to all and includes the broad range of science-backed approaches. He goes on to say, we should listen to the valuable perspectives of people with lived experience. He says, I am by no means anti-professional, but there is healing and wisdom in stories that can end persistent cycles of isolation, blame, so often linked to mental illness. Both and thinking is what is needed. In my case, in our case, the community of survivors of suicide loss, the isolation, persistent cycles, blame, stigma, taboo is linked to suicide. Please, please know you are not damaged. You are worthy. Your story is worthy. Your grief is worthy. You deserve to heal. And I'm so glad I was able to bring this to you. I want to thank Dr. Ken Duckworth, the psychiatrist, Chief Medical Officer of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, author of You Are Not Alone. I have said that over and over in everything I did and do. You are not alone. This book has been written. Um, it's a guide to navigating mental health with advice from experts and wisdom from real people and families. September 2022. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that this has taken up a lot of time, but this was such valuable information. I've also stated I have tacit knowledge, which is gained through lived experience and speaking with others with the same lived experience like. Thank you, survivors of suicide loss and YouTube followers. I am honored as you should be honored. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye for now. Like, share, and please comment. You never know who needs this.